Good day. This is Agenda, and sitting in for Cito Beltran, I'm Ed Lingao. We are One News. Just via Signal TV channels 8 or 250, or online via Facebook, YouTube, or the Signal Play app. And now let's take a look at the front page of the Philippine Star. The Health Department confirms 18 new cases of the UK variant of COVID-19. 13 of these patients are returning overseas workers. Will Metro Manila and the rest of the country shift to modified GCQ? President Duterte is expected to make a decision today. We will discuss more about this matter with Cabinet Secretary Karlo Nograles later in the show. Now, thousands were stranded or evacuated as Tropical Storm Oring dumped heavy rains over Mindanao and the Visayas. We will speak with the NDRRMC later on the show to get the latest on the situation. And the Agriculture Department says more than 62,000 live hogs or pigs have been delivered to Metro Manila in the past 2 weeks alone, as government attempts to bring down the surging prices of pork in the market. Okay, we now go to our first guest for this morning. Karlo Nograles is, of course, as we all know, Secretary of the Cabinet. He also serves as co-chairperson of the Interagency Task Force on the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases, or the IATF. Cabinet Secretary Nograles, good morning, and I almost said welcome to the Chiefs. Sorry. Welcome to Agenda. And good morning.
Hi, Ed. Thanks for having me. Good morning. Yeah, I was about. Yeah. Well, it's a start of hopefully a good week for us.
Yeah, we're all
almost end of February. We're going to March. Magma-March na tayo.
Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir.
We hope to be able to announce also. Yeah, oo nga eh. Mas nasasanay akong makita ka sa The Chiefs at tapos gabi.
Oh, sir. Well, it's the 22nd already of February. 20th na tayo, which is a Sunday. So what? We have basically just a week left for February. So, and we had a lot of expectations for February. But let me start off with what's expected for today. Today is a Monday, and as usual, we expect the president to go on the air later tonight, and hopefully to announce his decision on whether or not we go for MGCQ for Metro Manila and some of the residual provinces that are still under GCQ. Do we have any expectations?
Well, tayo naman we, di ba, ang ginagawa natin before matapos ang buwan, mag-announce tayo ng anong area ang GCQ at anong area ang MGCQ. So it's that time of the month right now, being the last week of February, for us to give our recommendations to the president. Then the president will make the decision for the month of March. And so for the month of March, ang recommendation talaga ng IATF, one of the options that we're giving to the president is MGCQ na lahat ng provinces, including NCR, for the month of March. But then again, it's up to the president to decide on that. And the reason that we're asking for, or we're recommending an MGCQ for the entire country is so that we can really revive and rebound the economy as high as we can. This being, 2021, the end of the first quarter of 2021, at kailangan natin habulin yung economic growth for 2021. And we have to start the quarter correctly. So March being the last month for the first quarter, this is really something that we want to start the first quarter on a good note. Nung January and February, we were careful because of what was perceived to be or feared to be a holiday surge or a holiday spike coming off from December. But because we did not see it in January, we decided, oh sige, February, let's wait and see sa February. Plus there was that UK variant and South African variant. So now na matatapos ng February, the economic managers now are recommending, okay, so why don't we give the entire month of March MGCQ for all areas so that we can already see how high our economy can rebound if we go to the least stringent community quarantine for the entire country. NCR kasi and Calabarzon, truth be told, they really control a great majority of the economy. Economic activities really depend, and our economic growth really depend much on NCR and Calabarzon. So even if MGCQ lahat, but if NCR continues to be GCQ, then you won't really see the full rebound of the economy. Whereas other countries are already, already starting to rebound, tayo, ayaw naman natin na maiwan tayo dyan sa economic growth.
Well, Sir Carlo, I don't think anybody would not want to go MGCQ. I mean, especially the ordinary person. Where needed, a number of health experts, health and also research experts. Kasi for example, the Okta research team is not a medical group, but they do look at the numbers and they look at statistics. And isa sa mga medyo passionate about or passionate against going MPCQ is Okta research. Sabi nila, from around the new cases a day right now in Metro Manila, it could go by a multiple of fives to more than 2,000 per day if we go MGCQ a little too early. So may ganun po concerns. I mean, everybody would love to loosen up and let the economy breathe again. But on the other hand, ang sabi naman ng those people who want to be cautious, you may have the economy breathing again, but you might also have people going back to the hospitals, which will again cripple the economy. How do you find it balancing act po?
Well, the NCR mayors and all mayors and governors, for that matter, have the ability and the authority to do localized lockdowns. So this is basically your circuit breaker, so to speak. The circuit breaker is still there, and in fact, the action is much faster because any NCR mayor or any provincial governor, kung nakikita naman niya na in one street or one purok or one barangay or one building, they see a number of active cases, then they have the authority to do a strict localized lockdown in those areas. So that option is still available to them. I think these research groups, when they make studies or recommendations, it is based primarily on assumptions. So I don't think nafa-factor sa kanilang assumptions that quick action response available to the local chief executives, no? Kasi parang those assumptions are I think they make those assumptions without factoring in that option available to the mayors and the governors. Then number two also, nandyan pa naman yung safety protocols natin, di ba? Yung paghugas ng kamay, social distancing, face mask, plus face shield. No? We already added an additional layer to the protocols, which is the face shield, apart from the face masks. So even if we loosen up the economy a bit, if people still stick to those same health and safety regulations and practices, I think we'll still be okay. Nakita naman natin yan sa holiday surge na assumption din nila, which it didn't happen. And people last December were going out, di ba? People were, we see a lot more movement in December, and then there was the fear of the holiday surge. But it didn't happen because we believe that it's because of the strict adherence to these health standards and practices. No, I think 1 year na. Pagpatak ng March,
Yeah.
that's already 1 year. 1 year since
16, 17.
ECQ, yeah, March 16, 17, the ECQ and the entire Luzon. So I think with 1 year that we've already been doing these paulit-ulit, pabalik-balik na mga health protocols, I think alam na ng tao, they know how to manage themselves already para makaiwas dun sa virus.
Actually, sir, I think even the Metro Manila mayors considered that yung local lockdowns, it still is an option, of course, that they can lean on. However, sir, if you notice yung voting ng Metro Manila Council, very, very close, 8 versus 9. So it was just a matter of one vote. It almost headed the other direction. Now, having said that, we also talked to some of the mayors, and some of the mayors who voted, yung 8 mayors who voted against MGCQ, also made the point of that. Yes, we do have the power to undertake local lockdowns. In particular, sabi nito ni Mayor Toby Chanco, sabi niya, yes, we do have the power to have local lockdowns. Pero when you look at Metro Manila kasi, it's a borderless region. People come and go. People live here, work there. People work there and live here, and they come and go. So even if you have local lockdowns, ang laki pa rin ng constraints sa LGUs ng Metro Manila on how to impose, town or citywide lockdown if it does come to that, to prevent any upsurge in infections. It's easier, sabi ni Toby, it's easier talaga kung per street basis lang, pero kung isang buong town yan, isang buong city yan, mahihirapan sila if the need comes. So that was his concern. Yes, we can do local lockdowns, pero in the end, people come and go. And if the other town or the other city across our border is very open, they go to work there, they party there, and then they come home to us. So sabi niya, it does kind of defeat the purpose. And that is his concern. Bakit he voted against MGCQ. I don't know po if that's been addressed in the discussions.
Ano naman, I think lahat naman ng mga NCR mayors, all of the mayors and governors for that matter, we're all concerned naman about those things, no, yung movement of people. So it really it really necessitates that all mayors and governors are on the same page, and I think that's already happening right now. Not only in NCR, but even if you go to the provinces naman, there are many provinces na ganun din, no? You'll have a province, but yung mga cases are already only confined in certain municipalities, but there's still movement between and among municipalities in a certain province. So it's pretty much the same, So if you think about it, you're a governor, but you have different municipalities, and different municipalities have different municipal mayors, right? And they move from one municipality to the next kasi naka-MGCQ nga. So it's the same. It's the same concept and principle with NCR, diba? Walang governor, but ganun din, no? People move in and out. But my point is, dun sa MGCQ areas ng mga provinces, you'll see provinces na zero, you'll see provinces na may iilan, you'll see provinces na mas marami, diba? But it's in the enforcement kasi of the mayors. At lahat naman ng mga mayors ng province na yan, they all understand what needs to be done. So, gano'n din sa NCR, no? It's not as if, yes, correct, Mayor Toby has his city, and then there are other cities around Metro Manila. But ganun din all the mayors in the Metro Manila cities also share the same concern. So the enforcement is still there. Parang lahat naman sila nag-alala. So lahat naman sila ini-impose nila ang lahat ng pwedeng magawa para makontrol yung spread. From whether it's in the workplace environment or when it is in the home setting, it's the same rules still apply naman. And in fact, would like to say na sa workplace, because DTI, DOLE, and all the other agencies are mas nakatutok nga, very strict sa more workplaces, sa pagbabantay sa workplaces, plus the LGUs. The enforcement in the workplaces is even much stricter pa nga, di ba? I would like, I venture to say, because nobody wants to get workplace infections also.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess kailangan lang talaga na we have to go into this together, the MGCQ, and of course there will be some concerns, nag-aalala, no? But once we start doing it, and then we are able to control the situation as much as we can, I think we'll be successful naman. It's just that first step that's always the hardest.
The hardest, eh? Well, Sec, we will just go into a break. Akala mo naman may commercial tayo na, pero we'll just go into a break. So we hope you can stay with us. When we come back, we will still continue talking about the proposal to go MGCQ, and among other things, let's also talk about vaccines and about pigs. But Capsec Nograles, please stay with us. We'll just go into a break. And you're back here in Agenda. I'm Ed Lingao, and we are still with Cabinet Secretary Karlo Nograles. Of course, the big story expected today, will the President approve a recommendation to go MGCQ for the month of March? Capsec Nograles, sir, ano pa? I suppose meron I suppose if the President does go MGCQ for March, you will be looking at a fuse box or a trigger point na pag umabot tayo sa ganito we need to go back to GCQ, diba? I suppose may ganung mechanism na pag tumama sa ganitong number ng infections per day, we have to revert. I'm wondering lang if that's ever been considered, and what would be that breaking point, or what would be the trigger point?
Yeah, we have yes, in the IATF naman, we have a data analytics team that looks at the data, particularly yung epidemiological numbers natin, di ba? Yung growth rate, reproductive rate ng virus, and the average growth rate, the attack rate, plus the socio-economic factors and security factors. So there's a formula that the data analytics team follows. But the thing is, what we usually do, we do it on like I said, on a monthly basis na yung aming pag-adjust to either MGCQ or GCQ. So for the month of March, if all things being considered, what will happen is that we will meet. We will talk about what community quarantine will be imposed in different parts of the country by the last week of March na for the month of April. So that's really the practice in the IATF, because as I said, the local chief executives naman have the power to do localized lockdowns. So what we want to do as a practice right now is that the entire month will stay MGCQ. We will not change the status within the month. Para the whole month of March, assured na MGCQ yan. But with localized lockdowns. Now, what will happen on April remains to be seen. We'll look at the numbers pagdating ng last week of March and assess again
So
and
sarado
make
po
that
yan.
assessment.
Whatever decision is made, sarado po yan for the whole month na yan. I suppose because yung businessmen
Yeah.
want consistency. Yung bago-bago. Tama ba?
Yeah, hindi pwede pabago-bago eh, 'di ba? That also kung pabago-bago ka, what use is the localized lockdowns? You have to give it to the local chief executives because they know their city more than anybody else. They know the barangays more, they're more familiar with the movements within and outside the city, within and going through the city. So you have to give them that responsibility to do what is right when it comes to imposing localized lockdowns. So there's more predictability for the month na, okay, walang changes ito. This is MGCQ for the entire month. Let's look at it again for April. But mga local chief executives, mayors, governors, you just, circuit breaker if you need. You have that localized lockdown. It's more predictable that way kesa pabago-bago.
Okay. Well, Sec, I just pulled up some figures just to give some context to our discussion. Of course, major factor here is yung bringing life back to the economy. If you look at the National Capital Region in terms of GDP, the NCR makes up 37.5% of GDP. So that's more than a third. Calabarzon makes up another 14.8, 15% of GDP.
Mhm.
And Central Luzon is another 9.3%. So all in all, mga 60% plus yung NCR, Calabarzon, and Central Luzon. So ito yung mga ngayon medyo maigpit yung yung panuntunan by CGCQ. Ito yung
Yep.
target na luwagan
Yes.
ng economic managers ng bansa.
Yes.
So you look at basically 60% of the economy.
Mhm. That's right. That's right. So 60% of the economy is working at what, 50% capacity. So you're not seeing the full, less than 50% capacity. So you're not seeing the full rebound of the economy. You're not seeing the full potential of your economy. That's the reason why we don't want to be the laggard economy also in Asia or Southeast Asia for that matter. So it's really something that
Sir,
and
yes, sir.
and by the way, when you talk about economy, ang bottom line dyan, Ed, is jobs, di ba? It's jobs and livelihood. It's people going to work, earning their keep, feeding their family. So it's really jobs and hunger ang bottom line dyan. It's not just economic growth. Those are just numbers. But at the end of the day, nakakakain ba sila? Nakakatrabaho, nakakauwi ba sila ng pagkain sa kanilang pamilya? Napapakain ba nila ang kanilang pamilya? Meron bang silang income para sa iba pa mga pangangailangan tulad ng medisina, gamot, pang-eskwela ng kanilang mga anak? Kasi kung hindi, then how long can we keep them like that? How long can we keep people that way? It's not healthy anymore. No, and it's also a health issue. It's not just COVID, no. It's also health, it's food, it's hunger, it's jobs, diba? So it's not just economic numbers that we're looking at.
Sir, but looking at the other elements involved in this whole discussion, of course, you have the economy, but you also have the issue of vaccines. People would be more comfortable going with the looser restriction if vaccines are already in place. Ano po yung latest nating timeline with regard to the arrival and the implementation of vaccinations?
Well, the promise was for Pfizer. The promise was mid-Feb, no, and then suddenly there's this whole indemnity agreement that they suddenly said that
Valentine's gift.
yes, yeah, we got broken-hearted after Valentine's. So, but we already complied, and so we're waiting. The thing lang here, Ed, is that we're at the receiving end. But if compliance na mga requirements is concerned, we've already done. Even pag sabi na indemnification agreement and all that, okay, we complied, so now we're waiting. AstraZeneca naman, they said naman the promise really was katapusan ng February, last week of February, which is where we are at now. So again, we're waiting for that. Sa Sinovac naman, as much as FDA wants to issue the emergency use, there are just some documents that they're asking from Sinovac, and hopefully Sinovac will be able to submit the necessary documents that was required of them. Hopefully today, hopefully within the week. But according to discussions with Sinovac, the company, as soon as malabas daw yung EUA ng ating FDA, they'll be able to deliver immediately the 600,000 doses which they promised. Kasama na dyan yung 100,000 donation ng China sa gobyerno, sa atin, sa Philippine government. So yun, we're just waiting. In the meantime, while we're waiting, we're just preparing the ground, doing the simulation exercises, code team visits in different regions. We're done with NCR, so we'll be going out to the different regions, doing the simulation exercises, the preparations for the rollout. So yun, so we're just waiting, but in the meantime, we want to be productive, so we do the practicing and the simulation and the coordination efforts para planchado na.
Sir, when you say na Sinovac has promised to deliver immediately as soon as the FDA releases an EUA, when we say immediately, does that mean within a day, within next 2 days, ganun, or within the next week, or the next month? Bakit malapit lang yung China?
Malapit lang ang China eh. So I'm more confident kasi malapit lang ang China. Not like Pfizer, I think. Not like Pfizer. I think Pfizer, ang shipment will be coming from Belgium, then Belgium to London, then from London straight to the Philippines. Okay. So there's that. Okay. China is just there. It should be faster. It's just one flight away. So I mean, my imagination is that siguro 1 day, 2 days. I mean, that's my presumption. 1 day, 2 days after FDA.
Yung earlier target na pecha, the 23rd, is already tomorrow eh. Their earlier promise was by the 23rd of February. They would have delivered 600,000. Pero nga, pending pa yung FDA approval. But also on that kasi, sila rin po yung may problema. They have not submitted some documents that the FDA has been asking for, and that has added to the delay. And when the documents get here, syempre, the FDA will pour through the documents and will evaluate and discuss among themselves. So that does take some time eh. So, yun po. Kahit magbigay sila ng dokumento ngayon, hindi lalabas kagad yung approval.
I don't know. I can't speak for the FDA in terms of how fast. And I'm not familiar with the type of document also that they're looking for. No? Kasi, and I don't know how fast FDA will pour through the documents and how fast they can issue it. So, but yeah, so we were hoping sana last week, and maybe even today, masabit yung documents kasi we're mindful of the February 23 na promise, right? And in fact, parang I heard pwede naman daw sila magpadala dito sa atin on the 23rd pending the approval ng FDA. But may complication yan eh kasi if it comes here without an FDA approval, Bureau of Customs is forced to seize the goods, right?
In effect, it will be counterfeit in the sense that it's not approved.
Kasi walang FDA. You're right. So, parang kung ganun, wag na lang, that might complicate things even more, right? More paperwork to handle. So, it might delay. So, wag na lang muna magpadala unless you get the FDA. Otherwise, baka i-seize siya ng BOC. So, anyway, there's a back and forth communication. The communication channels are open. That's a good thing. That's an important thing. And yun lang, it's just a matter of documents, just the documentation that's really needed.
Yes, sir. Sir, dun sa kaso ng Tupac, Pfizer asked for, among other things, but that was a major reason in the indemnity agreement na hinahabol nila. So, of course, we have already signed our side of the agreement, pero Pfizer apparently wants a law, an indemnity law, before it makes it. I know it's not exactly, I mean, we have a vaccine czar, but let's see. Uh, the question po is this, why are we rushing an indemnity law when it could have perhaps been passed earlier on? Like, for example, how soon or how late were we informed of the need for an indemnity law?
Ang alam ko, Ed, ang alam ko, we were also caught by surprise, Jan. Our negotiating team the team was following up naman, and they were asking kung ito na ba, wala na bang iba? I mean, is this it? Is this everything?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then suddenly there was this indemnification agreement requirement. So that was ang pagkaintindi ko that was we were not apprised, or we did not know about that, or it was something that we were asking, but we were under the impression that it wasn't really a requirement or a document. Basta ang alam ko, it was sudden, no? Biglaan yun na sinabi sa team or sa panel na ito kailangan, no? And planchado na sana lahat and then this came out. So I really don't know, but ang pagkaintindi ko is that it was a new requirement, kumbaga.
Well, I did a bit of back reading it. For example, Argentina passed it in November.
Ed, I'm inclusive. No.
test lang po ng audio.
Mic test, 1, 2, 3, mic test, test.
Okay na po tayo. Sige po, balik po tayo in a bit. Thank you. Stand by.
And you're still watching Agenda. We apologize for the earlier technical difficulties. We're still with the Cabinet Secretary Karlo Nograles. Sir, I know you have a meeting at 9 o'clock, so mamadaling na to. Hey, sir, my question kanina has to do with this. Kasi, there are other countries that were able to pass their own indemnity laws much earlier last year pa. For example, I think Argentina was able to pass its law in November. And if I'm not sure if it was Japan, pero there were one or two countries in the region that passed an indemnity law as well, mga December. So apparently, well, other countries were informed or knew ahead of time that they would have to pass these laws. The US and the UK, they have old indemnity laws, 2005 and 2012 respectively. So may ganun apparently some people or some countries natunugan na nila na kailangan ng ganun. Medyo nahuli tayo doon Pangalawa po, I think January may binabanggit si Vaccine Czar Carlito Galvez sa Senate hearing na indemnity requirement. Pero hindi niya ata na-push, parang hindi nabigyan ng urgency. So, and that was last month pa, and patapos na tayo ng February. So, given the fact that that Congress can pass a law very quickly if it needs to, baka ko hindi talaga natutupan yung indemnity issue.
Well, just like you said, Ed, no, it's not like all countries are. It's not like all countries were passing their own indemnification laws. So, kumbaga, it's not a practice in all countries. So ito na nga, because nga it's a new development, it's a new vaccine, it's a new situation. So it wasn't really relayed to all countries, diba? I don't even know if all countries are required to have their own indemnification law. I mean, is it really a requirement before you get your sets of vaccines, or does it really depend on the brand itself, diba? So parang in the hustle and bustle and all of these in the fast pace of what's happening here and there, left and right, with everybody chasing after their own supplies of the vaccines. So siguro there was some limitations in communications, some challenges in communication. So it's not as if sana nga, di ba, sinabi agad na requirement pala. Sana nga sinabi agad na, hindi namin pwede i-deliver yan. Or was it an afterthought na because other countries have their own indemnification laws, then dapat all countries must have for this particular brand? Because some brands naman, they don't require it. Di ba? And then remember, we were negotiating. Then this Pfizer came up because of the COVAX facility ng United Nations, right? It wasn't because of our direct negotiations with Pfizer per se, but because lumabas yung, presumably, I think, paglabas ng FDA for Pfizer and paglabas ng AstraZeneca, WHO says, okay, since you guys are part of the COVAX facility at approved na yung Pfizer at AstraZeneca here, ito na yung Pfizer at AstraZeneca. We're ready to ship it now to you. So ready na tayo tumanggap. And then biglang, by the way, baka kailangan pala ng indemnification. Diba? So it's all that It's all that. The whole rush to the vaccine, looking for your supplies, ganyan. So I guess in terms of of the rush and hindi agad na communicate na ay kailangan pala ng ganito, diba? So parang yan ang naging situation.
Mhm. Okay. Kapsec, if you have time for one more question, one last issue. I know it's a bit far from what you usually talk about, pero kasi kayo yung cabinet secretary, so you're basically you're in charge of just about everything. yung issue po ng baboy, medyo mahiwaga po kasi yung issue ng baboy. Dahil sabi nga ng Agriculture Department, we've already imported 62,000 pigs in the last 2 weeks to Metro Manila. And that should be enough to meet the requirements of Metro Manila. I mean, daily requirement natin is mga 4,000 pigs per day sa Metro Manila. And if you divide 62,000 by 14 days, basically 4,000 nga. So dapat sapat na siya. Pero mataas pa rin ang presyo ng baboy. Parang napakahiwagay. The supply is already coming in. The prices are still high. I don't know if there's been any discussion in the cabinet about this issue, or is it strictly the Agriculture Department's issue to deal with. Yun lang kasi parang,
Well, in the last
di ba?
cabinet,
Nag-ikon tayong lahat eh.
yes,
Supply demand,
that's
di ba?
why in the last cabinet meeting, maganda sana if it's a purely supply and demand matter, di ba? Because in a perfect setting, supply and demand, kung mataas ang supply, then mag-stabilize ang prices mo, di ba? Because it will meet the demand. But that's why there was a discussion sa cabinet meeting, the last cabinet meeting, na we needed that task group to look at if there is any hoarding, manipulation,
Abuse.
cartel. Kasi kita mo, di ba, kahit na may supply, bakit may problema pa rin dun sa presyo? Because nga, of price manipulation. That was really the suspicion from the start. And it's only happening in NCR. Di ba? So, that's why na-create yun, the NBI, the PNP, the DOJ, so that ma-investigate and to go after the cartels or the hoarders or the profiteers, because this is already in violation of our laws, no? So yun. So let's wait and see what happens, no? But basta as far as we're concerned, government is concerned, we'll make sure that the supply of hogs and pigs, karneng baboy, is adequate for NCR. If the prices do not move downwards because of it, then it lays more basis to the suspicion that there's some sort of price manipulation happening. Yes.
Kaya
Yes.
malungkot ang Valentine sa amin eh. Wala nang ang bauna, wala pang baboy.
Meron naman. Meron naman.
Malang. Okay, Cabinet Secretary
But
Karlo Nograles. Yes, sir.
we're addressing it.
Yes, sir. Sir, bago tayo magpaalam, sir, gagawa pa kayo ng bagong dance video?
Nilabas yata kagabi.
May bago nga. Bibiro lang ako, may bago pala talaga. Sige, sir. Aabangan po namin yan. Okay, Cabinet Secretary Karlo Nograles, sir, maraming salamat for joining us today.
Thank you, Ed. Ingat.
Sige
God
po.
bless. Stay safe. Thank you.
Well, that was Cabinet Secretary Karlo Nograles speaking to us on a wide range of issues from bakuna to baboy. And of course, COVID-19. You're still keeping tabs on the day's agenda. I'm Ed Lingao. Surigao del Sur experienced flash floods over the weekend due to the onslaught of Tropical Depression O-Ring. And joining us now is Mark Timbal, the Deputy Spokesman of the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or the NDRRMC. Sir Mark, good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Sir Ed, good morning. Thank you for having me as well on this Monday morning.
Nahihirapan talaga ako yung sa NDRRMC, pagkahaba-haba ng pangalan. But
Yes.
dati may isipin.
NDCC lang dati.
Oo nga, NDCC lang dati. Sir,
mahirap
kumusta
na
po?
puro CC.
Sir, kumusta po? Kumusta ang ating sitwasyon sa Mindanao?
Yes, sir. Some parts of Mindanao medyo umiigi na po yung panahon because the storm has already passed. It's just that continuing po ang ating response operations dahil may mga naganap po ng mga pagbaha. And there were some landslide incidents in some areas as well. However, this morning po, one good thing, as of this point, we haven't received any report of injuries or fatalities.
Okay.
I guess this is an effect of the preemptive evacuation that had been done by the local governments in view of the arrival of the storm. What happened kasi, Sir Ed, is Wednesday pa lang last week, nasa dagat pa yung bagyo. We have started preparations in coordination with the local governments of the areas that will be initially affected by tropical storm Auring. Although as of today, she's back into tropical depression level dahil humina yung bagyo. One of the confirmed items that we had from the local government preparations was the preemptive evacuations. They started with the appropriate planning and the preparation of the evacuation facilities. So as of this morning, we received a report that 16,059 families from Region 7, Region 8, 10, and Caraga were preemptively evacuated. This totals to 59,170 individuals. The storm, although hindi po ganun kalakasan talaga yung bagyo in terms of wind, medyo umabot po tayo ng 179 houses that got damaged as a consequence of the storm. Mukhang mga light materials po yung ibang mga houses na ito. 175 of that were partially damaged and 4 were totally damaged. We also encountered a minor landslide incident report in Bontoc Leyte, Region 8. But as of now po, dahil continuing ang clearing operations, they were one of the lanes of the road was already passable. Nagpigil po ng biyahe ang ating Philippine Ports Authority as well as the Coast Guard. Nagpigil din po ng mga pangingisda muna sa laot because masungit po ang dagat. We received information that more than 2,000 people were stranded in the ports in Region 7 and Region 8. Total po niyan is 2,831 passengers, 857 rolling cargoes, and 6 vessels. Pero as of this morning po, baka nabawasan na yung figure ng mga stranded kasi posible po nagsiuwian yung iba or nanuluyan sa ibang lugar. But those who are staying in the ports, kasi wala silang mapupuntahan, they're being assisted by the local government as well as the port authorities in the managing the actual port. So nagkaroon po ng mga power interruptions sa ibang lugar, but as of now, sir, wala tayong nare-receive na extended power interruption. It appears that when the storm passed, the local power cooperatives were able to restore energy kaagad sa areas.
Okay, ang importante naman wala namang casualties reported so far.
So far, sir, hanggang ngayon. We're hoping na sana wala talaga.
Sabi nga ninyo, hindi ganun kalakas yung hangin, pero matindi ba silang bagsak ng ulan? Kasi kita namin yung video, lumaragasa talaga yung tubig
Tama po kayo dyan, Sir Ed. Because we're still in the La Nina phenomenon right now. So all weather disturbances will be displaying this characteristic heavily, abnormally large volume of rainfall ang bibitawan po niya. And if we remember, nung nakalipas na taon, tuloy-tuloy yung mga pag-ulan dyan sa area na yan. So medyo saturated pa rin ang kalupaan and yung ulan na binitawan sa bundok, bababa din po yan sa kapatagan. This will cause the swelling of river systems. That's why we also reminded our local governments na nakakasakop sa mga riverside communities to ensure that proper evacuation planning and the execution of evacuation activities plus yung prepositioning ng response people ay maisagawa in case na kailanganin yung rescue operations po diyan. And what we've seen, dahil lumaragasa yung tubig, may nasira at ang leakage somewhere dyan din in the area. So we're still checking for the complete information of that.
Okay. Mr. Mark Timbal ng NDRRMC.
Sir, pwede ako makiisa. Kasi sir, coming March 11, 2021, we're holding the nationwide simultaneous earthquake drill for the first quarter of the year. Online po ito.
March 11.
Kaya iniimbitahan po natin yung mga kababayan natin na magsama-sama po tayo mag-duck, cover and hold alas 2 ng hapon, March 11. Alam niyo naman po, nililindol pa rin tayo every now and then, tectonic man yan or volcanic. And we want to make sure that everyone is prepared for this kind of emergency. So magsama-sama po tayo mag-duck, cover and hold on March 11. Thank you, Sir Ed.
Okay. March 11 is Thursday, 2 weeks from now. Alas 2 ng
Yes, sir.
hapon, nationwide to, no, sir?
Yes, sir. That's correct, sir.
Okay. Thursday, next week, March 11, alas 2 ng hapon, nationwide duck cover and hold drill for
Yes, sir.
earthquakes. Maraming salamat. Mark
Thank you, sir.
Timbal at Timbal ng NDRRMC. Sir, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, sir. Good morning.
Good morning
Ingat po
po.
kayo. Bye-bye.
Okay, we're still in agenda, and I'm Ed Lingao. At this point, let's bring in Surigao del Sur Governor Alexander Pimentel. Governor Pimentel, thank you for joining us, and welcome to Agenda.
Magandang umaga,
Magandang umaga po.
Ed.
Opo.
Magandang umaga sa lahat ng nanonood at nakikinig dito sa ating istasyon.
Governor, kamusta po kayo dyan sa Surigao del Sur? Ano po sitwasyon dyan? Marami po bang nasa evacuation center? May kuryente na po ba? Kamusta po?
Okay naman po. Out of 17 municipalities at 2 syudad, Tandag City at Bisilig City, 202 barangays ang affected ng baha. O 20,946 families ang na-evacuate na natin yung preemptive evacuation sa 394 evacuation center. At may initial report na kami sa Agustin, isa ang reported scene of damage. Sa Tandag City, ang initial report, 5 ang totally damaged at isa ang naanod na bahay at 57 ang partially damaged. Papunta pa ako sa command center namin para tingnan ko kung makareport na lahat ng 19 LGUs kasi kagabi hindi namin makontak kasi sa kasagsagan ng bagyo, pero marami talaga ang nabahaan abot hanggang leeg. Pero nagpasalamat ako sa lahat ng mayor, lahat ng barangay captain at PNP, Army dahil nung Webes nag-meeting na kami na mag-preemptive evacuation na, kaya lahat ng evacuation center namin puno talaga. Pati yung opisina ko sa Capitol, pati yung legislative building, meron na rin mga evacuees kasi yung isang evacuation center dito sa Tandag City inabutan ng baha. So far, lahat ng mga evacuees nabigyan na natin ng initial na food pack at nililista pa namin lahat kung ano talaga ang damage sa mga crops, sa agriculture, at saka sa ano pa mga damage sa mga bahay. Kasi marami rin ang nadaganan ng kahoy na bahay at marami rin ang natanggalan ng atip dahil mga pawid. So, ina-assess namin lahat ngayon para mabigyan ng saktong tulong.
Gob, pansin ko, mukhang nasa labas kayo ngayon at mukhang kayo naglilibot, ano? Tama ho ba? Kayo ba naglilibot ngayon? Dahil nakikita ko po yung inyong lugar at yung inyong getup, mukhang good to go kayo sa pag-ikot.
Oo, actually, Biyernes pa ako naglilibot. Kasi tinitingnan ko talaga na masunod yung pre-emptive evacuation namin. Kasi inaano natin talaga. Pero yung iba, medyo matigas ang ulo. Kaya usahan na namin in-evacuate. So far, maganda naman ang resulta.
Gob, well, siyempre, ang tanong ng marami, of course, panahon ng bagyo, pero panahon pa rin ng COVID, kamusta po yung mga evacuees natin sa mga evacuation center? Sabi nga ninyo, naging evacuation center pati yung Kapitolyo, pati yung building. How's the situation there? Kamusta rin po yung protocols? Nahihirapan ho ba kayo to implement, for example, health protocols with evacuation?
Pero nung nagsaan kagabi, siyempre dikit-dikit na talaga ang mga tao, pero nakamask pa rin yung mga tao natin. Lalo na yung mga bata, nire-require talaga namin. Istrikto ang mga mayor sa order ko. Para ko lahat ng mga mayor dahil talagang minomonitor nila ang health protocol sa lahat ng evacuation center.
Tapos, Governor, sa ngayon po, tama ho ba? Wala hong reports of casualties. I suppose that's really very good news kung wala pang...
Sa ngayon, meron pang isang missing sa San Agustin. So, sa municipality na San Agustin. So, anuhin ko pa yan kung ano talaga ang final report kasi kagabi nga nag-brown out at hindi namin makontak yung ibang mga mayors at saka mga disaster. So papunta ako ng ngayon ng command center namin kasi nakamonitor lahat doon. By this afternoon, we will be able to report ng kung ano talaga ang actual damage na makuha namin mamayang hapon.
Yung sa San Agustin po ba, ano ho yung nawawala? Ay matanda, bata o ano po? Anong alam natin dun sa nawawala?
Lalaki. Hindi pa namin alam kung ilan ang edad, pero hinahanap na ngayon.
Well, sana po makita natin kagad para magandang record natin na walang casualty sa bagyong ito. Kung maaari lang po, kung may pagkakataon kayo, pwede hong pakipihit ng konti yung camera. Baka pwede nyo kaming bigyan ng itsura ng paligid. Kamusta ho yung sitwasyon dyan sa inyong lugar?
Ano?
Kung kaya po, pakipihit po yung camera. Bigyan niyo kami ng konting description ng paligid. Nasa labas ata kayo ngayon eh.
Nandito ako sa kalsada eh.
Opo.
Nandito ako sa kalsada at ipapadala na lang namin. Ipapadala na lang po namin kasi nandito ako sa kalsada. Inaayos ko pa lahat ng kasi yung wife ko si Mayor Roxanne Pimentel ng Tandag City, nag-iikot din, namimigay ng mga food pack sa mga uuwi na. At actually ngayon, umaraw na, kaya pwede nang makagalaw yung mga tauhan namin para mag-rescue pa ng iba. At magpasalamat ako, mayroong dumating na mga Coast Guard, may dalang mga rubber boat at mga tiga Davao. Pasalamatan ko rin si President Duterte at saka si Senator Bongo na laging nauuna sa pag-respond sa amin. Sa Typhoon Vicky, 4 na beses na pumunta dito si Senator Bongo at katatawag rin lang ni Cabinet Secretary Karlo Nograles kung ano ang may tutulong nila sa amin. So I am required to report to them this afternoon kung ano talaga ang actual damage sa buong probinsya.
Okay, Surigao del Sur Governor Alexander Pimentel. Gov, ingat po kayo dyan at maraming salamat po sa inyong ginagawa.
Maraming salamat din po.
Ingat po. Surigao del Sur Governor Alexander Pimentel. And that's it for today's agenda. On behalf of Cito Beltran, this is Ed Lingao. We are One News.